So I am very excited and grateful to Anna and Dan for coming on today. We had them scheduled. I don't know if you guys remember, I think you do, but they were scheduled to come on last month, and a last minute change because of what had happened with my mother. They were very, very gracious in last minute changing this up and switching to this month. So just very thankful to them for their flexibility. I'm going to do just a really short bio for them because I've already posted the bio in I'm shutting this off here. There we go. In
I
the
don't even
group.
remember, to be honest, what the bio was because things have changed since then.
Oh,
Uh,
well, you know what? How about this? Because I'm just going to be reading what I already have, and they may have seen part of that. Why don't you guys give your own introductions? Because I'm sure things are changing. You know what? We are all very understanding of this being a rapidly changing environment. Who knows what we're going to be doing tomorrow? So, Dan, actually, would you like to begin and give your intro?
I always defer to Anna. So I will let Anna go first. The only thing and I always do the intros for her because,
You can do it. I can do yours. Let's
Oh,
just do
that would be
that.
great. Let's do
okay.
that. That would be fun.
Oh, this is great. I'm going to get so much trash thrown at me by Anna. Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Dan. I would like to introduce you to somebody that up until recently wanted to remain nameless when it comes to the following fact. Anna has been my coach for the last 6 months. She is the owner of Career BFF. She works for Florin Decor. She is the founder and principal beauty behind the Job Search Angels. She is I'm trying to figure out the right words now. Like the one time I'm on the spot, I'm having trouble. She is the purveyor of those that are on unique journeys and the whisperer to those that need that extra boost. Anna Morgan.
Oh,
Thank you, Dan. So Dan Roth came into my sphere of influence several months ago through the Job Search Angels. And as he mentioned, I am the champion of the underdog. I am a rescuer of careers and many other things. And I immediately connected with him, and it was like this spidey intuitive sense that this man had a career in recruiting ahead of him. And once I finally got through his career progression, and I was like, wait, what do you do? What did you do? How did that work? I said, okay, you're going to be a recruiter, and here's how we're going to do it. And the reason I wanted to kind of keep it anonymous, that I was behind the scenes, was that, I don't like to take credit for people's success, and I still don't to this day. I am simply a sage, a guiding light, an accountability partner, and someone who can reflect back what is magnificent, amazing, and the capabilities that were inherently there. So Dan's taken fast action, utilizing his super strengths to connect job seekers to recruiters and to opportunities, and then continue to level up his education through LinkedIn Learning, and has taken all of his skills from his media background, from project management to sales, and it's all culminated into finally finding a recruiter position. And I couldn't be more proud and honored to be his career BFF.
Yes, and just so everybody knows, this is not something. So this is 2 days since I announced that I'm officially with Zuna Executive Recruiting. So I appreciate that. Anna is truly the foundation that everything that I've done is built on, and I'll say that till the day I die. So I'm happy to be here with her.
Awesome. These guys are both amazing. They're very generous with their time. So please feel free to ask any questions. But before we get to that, just so that logistically, if you do have questions and they're on a roll, type them into the chat so you don't forget them. If you're anything like me, you've got a burning question, then all of a sudden, if you have to wait 5 minutes, it's gone from your head. So type them into the chat and we'll come back to them. And then I believe that they're open to you unmuting and asking your questions. Anna, did you want to start by kind of getting a pulse of who we have here?
Yeah, absolutely. So if you can just raise your hand if you're a job seeker or career changer. Okay, two. All right. And then who's an entrepreneur or starting a new business or, just looking to build their personal brand in general. Okay, so nicely split there. So really the focus, there's a lot out there about personal branding and building your visibility on LinkedIn. And so my goal today is to have Dan and I share our stories on LinkedIn, kind of what it was like, what happened, and what it's like now in that framework. And then we'll talk about maybe 3 main things that you can do on LinkedIn that will accelerate you as a job seeker and or accelerate you as a someone that's looking to do business with more people on LinkedIn, how to network more effectively, and really just how to use the platform in a more meaningful way. Does that sound good to everyone? Okay. So I have been on LinkedIn since 2006, which is shortly after, about 6 years after I started selling and doing recruiting. And I would use LinkedIn to just reshare jobs, to share inspiration. When I would go to networking groups, I would get business cards and then I'd come to LinkedIn and I would connect with them and I wouldn't do much more from that point. And the other thing I would do is update my profile when I changed jobs, which was probably every 3 to 5 years, depending on how early in my career. And so that was just really how I knew LinkedIn. And as I advanced in my career from a business development and sales perspective and recruiting, I started using LinkedIn as more of a prospecting tool because I realized that it was a way for me to find connection points, because I'm a huge believer in connection over qualifications. Because if it's human to human marketing, as Judy Fox taught me, who's one of the LinkedIn coaches here, and I started looking at people and going, oh, okay, well, Dan likes lacrosse. I'm a lacrosse coach and I want to sell into Dan's company. That's what I'm going to start the conversation or the direct message with. So it gave me ways to personalize and really fast track relationships. So fast forward to, I would say, November of 19, I was working full time at Floor & Decor. And I was getting a lot of visibility on LinkedIn. I had decided that I wanted to start Career BFF coaching on the side because I was kind of like, I don't know if I'm long-term made for corporate America. Like, I'm not sure that I want to be a CHRO one day or a VP of talent. But I know that I love pouring into other people. I love, I've always been that person that people would reach out to, like, hey, I'm looking for a job. Who do you know? Or can you help me with your resume? And that started years ago because I started using Facebook as a place to kind of tell funny stories of what I was experiencing in recruiting. And it really started off as just like quirky things that I would see on resumes or announcing, clients that were hiring, or when you've been in recruiting long enough, like everything happens. I mean, people show up to interviews in prom dresses. I had a woman show up without her dentures. I had a temp who stole a truck from a company. Like, it's all kinds of crazy things. And so people started following me and identifying that Anna's a recruiter. Anna's a recruiter. Like anything recruiting related, I'm going to send my brother, sister's uncle's cousin, right? And then I get on LinkedIn and I start expanding, and I noticed there was an opportunity to really elevate the relationships. And I came across Judy Fox, and I was super intrigued with how she viewed LinkedIn and how she conducted herself on the platform. And so I jumped into her LinkedIn Business Accelerator program, and I actually got Floor & Decor to pay for it because I was helping manage the company's LinkedIn pages and helping teach the HR department how to do LinkedIn more effectively. And when I started implementing her strategies, my audience grew, the engagement increased. I started having more one-on-one conversations. And the biggest takeaway, and what I can share, and I'll show you a deck or two after Dan tells his story. The number one thing that moved the needle for me was strictly commenting. That's it. So I am a very inconsistent person. Traditionally, I have not drank a drop of alcohol in 10 years. And outside of that, I can't say there's a whole lot that I've done consistently, but I did do the commenting. And so I would show up every day and make 5 high quality comments that were really focused on other people. And that was also very natural in my nature to love on other people and compliment other people. And I wasn't just having conversations in the comments about job search strategy or recruiting or talent acquisition. I was just having human to human conversations. And I started picking people to follow that had similar interests, whether it be mental health, neurodiversity, diversity, equity, and inclusion. I started following authors that I liked, like Brene Brown. And, then my feed would refresh and I would have new conversations and I would start running into like the same people in the comments. And then we would take the conversation offline. And then that's where the magic happened, right? Because people trust us when they see us having public conversations, then they're going to be more willing to have a coffee chat or an informational interview. So for job seekers, if you can be intentional of commenting and engaging on your ideal company, your ideal hiring manager, your ideal recruiter, the person that has the job that you would want, that's a way that you can really socially job search and show up in front of them. You get that social credibility and that visibility by having those conversations in the comments. And that's when things really start to accelerate and super cool, awesome things will start to happen. So the final thought is, in the height of the pandemic, like I had just gone through this training, I was just coaching on the side. Floor & Decor sends everybody home. I didn't really get along with my boss at the time, got hit with a performance review at the height of the pandemic. And then May 1st, I got let go. And it was a huge pill to swallow. I was like, people said I turned around the reputation of HR for the company. Like, how am I getting let go? But I took fast action. And because of the commenting and because I had an optimized profile, I had already made up my investment for my training and I was already getting Career BFF clients without doing any outbound work. Then I made the post that I was no longer with Floor & Decor, and it had probably 25, 30,000 views, which is a lot for me. And I'm not a huge metrics person. I'm more about just adding value. And from that post, because I had the runway of having those conversations in the comments, I literally had job offers in my direct message. I had 2 permanent recruiting positions. I had a speaking engagement and 2 referral agreements that people wanted access to my network, to my knowledge to help their businesses. And, I like my jaw dropped to the ground. And it wasn't like, hey, we want to have an interview with you. It was like, hey, we want to hire you type of conversation. And that is the magic of LinkedIn, by giving to other people and taking time to be intentional on the platform. And it's when you're your most authentic self and you're just having, conversations that are human to human, but you're also educating your audience that this is your zone of genius. I'm a brand specialist. I'm an engineer. I'm an engineer that's passionate about these little buckets. And so it just blew my mind. And so from that point, I was like, okay, this is an opportunity to build Career BFF, to take those same principles and build it out for job seekers and career changers. And that's a lot of what I focus on, in addition to helping people tell their story more effectively, do interview preparation, LinkedIn optimization and resume edits. So any questions on that? I know I was talking kind of fast. No?
If you think she talks fast, I'm from Jersey.
Oh, here he is.
Hey, Dan, I'm from Jersey too. I get you. Hey, I was muted, so I just wanted to say, Anna, I just love the commenting comments. Okay, that for me is a game changer, and I think for a lot of the people either here or maybe listening as into the replay that don't are really opposed, and I'm glad they are, to like having a salesy kind of approach. What you're talking about and commenting and the humanity of it, I think will really appeal to our group. So,
Yeah,
love
and if you'd like, I can show the deck I have right now, which is kind of best practices on how to comment. If you want me to share that, or I can share it after Dan kind of tells us his journey.
Dan, what do you think?
I think I'm in a room full of women, so I should defer to the women.
Okay, Anna, you decide.
I just need sharing privilege.
You have it.
Okay, perfect. So you'll want to screenshot this or it'll be recorded. But again, like 5 to 10 comments a day. And I also would add 5 to 10 connections a day as well. And again, it was just people that I was like naturally curious about. So if you see a post in your newsfeed and no one has made a comment on it, this is the time you want to be the first person on the dance floor, because you never know where that post could go. And if you're in that first early commenting place, your comment is going to be seen way more than anyone else in that thread. So don't be afraid to be the first person on the dance floor, jump in and add to the conversation. So LinkedIn's algorithm gives you points, and commenting is where you get some of the bigger points from what I've heard. And if you can make your comment about 15 words or 4 lines or longer, where it leaves the text, you've seen this around the platform, the ... see more button, that will also expand your visibility. You always want to tag the creator of the post. It gives them a notification and alerts them that Dan has responded to my post. So I can go in and see what he says or respond. And you can use that @name function anywhere in the comment, at the beginning, in the middle, and the end, whatever is good for you. Now, you can tag additional people. I recommend that you don't be a spammy tagger, like tagging other influencers on the platform just to boost visibility. That's not a it's not a polite way to conduct yourself on the platform. I recommend thinking of it as if you're on a LinkedIn post. It's kind of like you're at a exhibit booth at a big seminar, right? And your fellow peers or coworkers are walking by and you're saying, Heather, Dan, Elisa, come over here. I want to include you into this conversation. We're talking about LinkedIn. And so think of it that way. So people that you have in kind of your close knit group, like the people part of this this group that you're a part of, those types of people that you have trust and relationship with, and that you think they would have something to add to the conversation, you can bring them into that comment. And that will also help that post do better and get more conversations going, which is just like if you were standing at the booth, I'm talking to Dan, Heather's talking to Alicia, Emily's talking to so-and-so. And it just keeps the momentum going. And that's how you get those conversations from online to offline. So if you have a personal hashtag, you can always include that at the end of your comment. And people who are starting businesses or have business pages will typically use hashtag #CareerBFF or their hashtag to help build their brand, essentially. So types of comments are providing tips, shouting out other people. And I don't think people do this as much, but you'll see in the comments where they've tagged like 10 people and it's a big blue blob. Big blue blobs are bad. So it really, the respectful thing is to give each person their own line. And if you can highlight why you're tagging Dan, because he's a recruiter and this is a job post, or why you're, tagging Heather because she's passionate about, topics Brene Brown talks about or whatever, that is really kind of top tier kind of, professional level etiquette on the platform. And then you also want to make sure that you answer the question in the post and that your comment is relevant. So using that active listening to really reflect back what has been said, or that how you're interpreting that post. And if you do those types of things, you'll have success. And then it's always a good idea to make sure that you look at and support any LinkedIn content. A lot of people see the LinkedIn content on the right side of their newsfeed, but they rarely ever click into it. And that's a way to connect with more people, because there's a different set of people that are usually engaging in those conversations. And LinkedIn sometimes will grab your comment and highlight you in the news and alert your entire network that you were featured in the LinkedIn news, which is a way to really elevate your visibility on the platform. So, the thing to remember, by engaging and giving to other and using these principles in commenting, you're earning the right to ask for something from these connections at some point down the line. So.
Great. Anna, I think that Emily had a question, and it looks like Lisa does as well.
Right.
On the right side. Okay, let me show you real quick. Sorry about so on your home screen, over here on the right, you're going to see LinkedIn News.
You have to stop share and restart it again in order for us to see what there you go.
Sorry.
No, that's okay.
Okay. You see my LinkedIn page now?
Mm-hmm.
So right here on the right, LinkedIn News. So it'll show you different articles each day. So let's see, the toxins we put on our face. It's kind of terrifying. So if you go in here, this is a way just to find topics that you're interested in. And then the people that, there's 202 social likes. So you could look here and go through these contacts and be like, oh, I'm a project manager. I want to check out Mary's profile. And this is a way that you can add connections if you're, under 1,000 connections or under 500 connections. Or you can just, add to these conversations here. And like I said, if you comment early, a lot of times LinkedIn can grab your comment and feature it in the news. Does that help?
Yeah, Lisa, did that answered your question, right?
Yes, thank you.
And then
Awesome.
Emily had a question as well. I think you raised your hand, Emily.
I did, yeah, and this is probably a basic one, so don't laugh.
No, there's no silly questions. Like LinkedIn is so complex sometimes.
Well, it's actually, and maybe well, I guess it goes to everything. How do you know if you have a personal hashtag, or is that something that you need to register someplace?
So great question. The search bar is really powerful. So this is where you can search hashtags. So if you're thinking of starting your own personal hashtag, do you have an idea of what you might use?
I don't have one. And I don't know, would you just use your name?
It really depends on like what your business is. Like Dan used hashtag Dan Connects.
Dan connects you.
Connects you. So he probably typed this in first and then hit all search results. And oops, hold on. Dan Connects you.
Or you could use not that Dan Roth, whichever one's there you go.
So hashtags are like file folders. So anytime someone uses certain hashtags, it's going to show you a feed of that hashtag. Sorry, my bubbly water is getting to me. So let me try Career BFF. I wonder if you can use, so you can also use the filters. So posted by me, first connections, And this is a way also, like if you're, looking for a job, you can do job search tips and it'll show you, this is what I was looking for. So if you're going to start a hashtag, so you type in your hashtag, and if it comes up like this, it'll show you that there's 20,000 followers of hashtag job search tips. So you can't use that hashtag. But if it doesn't come open, then it means it's available. Does that help?
So it's kind of, not to interrupt, but it's kind of like a domain, like for lack of a better thing, where it's already.
It's
something?
so no, basically what it is the intelligent way would be for somebody to register their own hashtag. But what this does is, what happens is that you have to create it first. So let's say that that Anna created a post, and for the first time it said Heather O'Neill is amazing.
Mhm.
Well, then she would click on that hashtag and it would say nobody is following this hashtag. So then she would click it, and that would make it hers because she's the first person to follow it. Now, every time somebody used Heather O'Neill is amazing, every time somebody utilizes that hashtag, it's going to show up where Anna is showing you. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so if nobody's, argument's sake, nobody's used hashtag Emily Milliot or Emily,
Then it could be yours.
whatever,
Yeah.
that would be a hashtag for me. And then,
Mhm.
Yes.
But Emily, and actually, I don't know anything about these. So this is totally like, I could be, this is why I'm asking it in front of Anna and Dan. But in my
Oh, look,
mind,
is this you? Somebody did
that's me.
hashtag.
Yeah. Yeah.
He gave you a credit. So he's used it once, but let's see what it does. Oh, it just takes me to that post.
There you
So
go.
you can be the first to, I can be the first to follow your hashtag. Do
Should
you
I?
want to follow her?
I'm going to log in at my other computer here and follow along with you. So that's as simple as it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
would it be easier though? The question that I have regarding these, is it better to make it a name, like your name, or a phrase that you use or that relates to your business that other people might use? Is it is there like a pro or con to that? Like Dan was doing, Dan connects you, as it's like a phrase that people would remember
Well,
versus.
yeah, because that's like part of his brand.
Yeah.
And that's why I used Career BFF. It happened actually because of my hashtag is why I decided to name my company Career BFF. So there's another one like G just saying. I helped G come up with this hashtag because her name is G and she always has a lot to say. So we went with G just saying. And so any post that she does that uses that hashtag, it comes into this file folder and people can see every post that had hashtag G just saying. So it takes some time for hashtags to like grow on you and to decide like what you want to do. But the nice thing is you can test different things out. Like Dan had not that Dan Roth originally, and then went to Dan Connects You because that was more in line with his brand.
So just for reference for everybody, the editor-in-chief of LinkedIn is named Daniel Roth, which is technically my full name. So I didn't want to misinterpret people thinking that I was him, because I had people accepting my connection requests thinking I was him. But the play off of it seemed to work. I am not the biggest purveyor of hashtags. That doesn't mean that they don't work. It just means I don't have the patience to stick it through. But no, Judy Fox is, it can work tremendously well if you do it right.
And you would use that hashtag anytime you comment then? Like if I
try to, yeah. I try to, especially if it's on a post of someone I don't know really well. And then I try to make sure that I include it when I do make a piece of content or a post.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Dan, over to you, my friend.
All right.
What it was like, what happened, and what it's like now.
Yeah. So I'm first of all, couple things I always like to start off with. One is I'm neurodiverse. If you see me scanning up here, if you see me twitching or anything like that, that's my ADHD. I have language processing disorders, which means that I know what I'm saying up here, but sometimes I have a hard time processing out through here. So when I'm looking up, that's me trying to picture what I'm saying. I like to tell that to people so you don't think I'm distracted. Also, it's one of the pillars I stand on. So it's something that I'll be talking about in a minute. I also will talk even faster than Anna. But the thing with it is I feel like a lot of people already know my story, which is not an ego thing. It just seems to be the way things are playing out. I know Debbie does. So let me kind of hop into it. What you're going to see with this story is that there's a lot of parallels with Anna, but also a lot of differences. So being neurodiverse, I started out in media. When I moved to California 10 years ago, I went to telecom. And then the last 5 years, I found myself in global project management, pharmaceutical, clinical trials. In February of 2020, I took what I thought was going to be my dream job as a regional manager for a technology company that created software for the healthcare industry. Two things wound up happening. One is that, so I have twin girls, and one was that I was dealing with extreme burnout and male postpartum depression from the pregnancy, and then because my wife had a C-section, taking up the load, which is not to say I shouldn't have. I was exactly what I needed to be doing, just to be clear. But as any parent knows, it could oftentimes be exhausting. The second thing is the pandemic hits. I started in February. I'm the last one in, first one out in May. So I had already pivoted. Pivoting into healthcare was my third pivot: media, telecom, and then healthcare. So I was still looking to stay in the project management space. What happened was that I reached out to all my contacts. It's a very small world in the pharma industry, and I ran out of options. So what did I do? I reached out to a friend. They suggested coming on LinkedIn to make myself more attractive to employers. Right away, I think I had the benefit of knowing that I wanted to speak about a couple things. So I revamped my profile. I redid everything, which then needed to be redone by Anna, which I'll get to in a minute. And I realized, okay, I need to start posting content. So what am I going to post content about? What speaks to me? What's my unique voice? This is something I talk about all the time. As a content creator, what is your unique voice? Well, I knew I wanted to be open about neurodiversity, because when you're ADHD, there's so much fear that goes into admitting that on job applications and otherwise. And I got to the point where I was like, okay, look, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this my way. And I announced right off the bat, I'm ADHD. I put it out into the world because once it hits media, there's no turning back. And I realized I was going to be alienating myself from certain companies, but at the same time, are those companies I would have wanted to work for anyway. So there was that. So I started posting on that. I tested out articles first because coming from media, I'm a long form writer. Didn't gain a lot of traction. Then what wound up happening is I remember the first time I got a big hit, I was very vulnerable, and I put out a post about not realizing how much my mom had impacted me until years later, and how she stood out to me and was really my hero growing up. And I got thousands upon thousands of messages. And the ones that really struck home is I would have people saying to me, hey, I read your post. I was in tears. I just want you to know how much it meant to me because I'm dealing with the same thing with my kids. And I realized at that point, one of my zones of genius is that I'm comfortable in the vulnerability and talking about things that other people want to talk about but can't. So I saw this as an opportunity this was my purpose in what I was going to be doing going forward. Great. But then something interesting happened. As I'm job searching, I'm realizing that there's plenty of posts that are connecting people saying, hey, join my network, join my network, join my network, join my network. And then there were posts about open opportunities, but there was none that were connecting the two. So there were no posts that were connecting job seekers to recruiters individually in one platform that covered everybody. So I created a post called Job Connection Tuesdays, and it was very simple. Job seekers put the job that you're looking for and where, recruiters put what you're looking to hire, and veterans, please include, and then use it to network. And the first week we had 2,000 views, then 5,000 views. Third week I get 18,000 views. Like, holy, what is going on here? And I realized I was onto something. And I was doing this just out of the kindness of my heart. I figured, best case scenario, me putting myself out there gets me more attractive to employers. I get to look over these recruiters that are already on my feed while I'm doing this work for everybody. So I start doing it. Next week's going to be 6 months straight. So as I move further along, I start realizing, okay, I really am onto something. So I'm posting about the job seeking. I'm being vulnerable about my journey. I'm talking about neurodiversity. And through this work, one of my former managers and employer had taken a job as a director at this company. And she said to me, hey, I see what you're doing. Can you help me find some people for these roles? Reached out to 5 people. All 5 people got interviews. All 5 people got final interviews. 2 people hired 2 roles. However, I was supposed to interview. I go through the full period. I get passed over. I was one of the final 3 candidates. I get passed over in something I had been told was very much not a popular opinion. So here's where Anna comes in. That night,
this is about the time that you and I connected.
Yeah. So that night I go on, I do a video, and I knew, so it's scary to do videos it's scary to post when you're at your most vulnerable. And I went on and I was very open about my experience, how I thought this is finally the opportunity. And Anna sends me a message, says, look, can you connect with me? We jumped on a call and there was an instantaneous connection. And here's the thing, I'm not here to sell anybody on anything. That's not my purpose. But what I'm noticing is that a lot of people, based on the pandemic, they start out where they have a little bit more in their bank account. Then they get to a point where they're like, okay, well, we need help, but we don't have anything. So the most critical moment for me in my entire journey was meeting Anna. This is not because she's here. This is me looking you dead in the eye and saying, without Anna, I would not be here. Period. End of story. And there are a couple of reasons for that. One is now I had a support system. Now I had guidance. Now I had somebody that would call me out on my BS and help me structure what, as she said, was already inherently inside me. So now we start focusing in. She takes me on as a client. I still get emotional talking about it. So I'm continuing on this journey, and I keep on saying, what do you want to do? What do you want to do? What do you want to do? And the stubbornness in men in general, but in me specifically, was enormous. Like that, I've never considered myself a stereotypical male until you consider how stubborn I was within this job search. But then one day I got asked by a friend, well, what do you want to do? And I had no idea. And I had been recruited to be a recruiter, but I was like, okay, do I really want to go through a 4th pivot? Well, that day, between the time I talked to her and the time that I got on a call with Anna, I said, why am I getting in my own way? And once I hit that stride, once I identified what my purpose was, the clarity it enabled for me was like we talk about epiphany sometimes. Oh, this was a freaking epiphany.
Mm-hmm.
And from that point, and Anna will attest to this, I was like Wile E. Coyote being chased by a rocket ship.
Yeah, but the first part, like the discovery of like, trying to understand where his strengths were with media or with project management, with big pharma. And we kept coming into all these like weird things that happened. And I'm like, why would you want to go back to that? Right. And then, on one of our calls, and, I need to look back and see if I have it recorded. I was like, you're a recruiter. That's what you need to focus on.
That was every one of our calls.
Yeah. And
Okay.
that happened probably by the 2nd session. And I said, and then I tried to kind of paint the picture because I've worked in agency and corporate and have trained a lot of different recruiters through my career. And then, yeah, like he said, just took off and was everywhere.
So let me kind of now narrow it to a close, because there's my story, fortunately or unfortunately, is like, so at that point, not okay, let me preface this. Not everybody could put in the work that I did. This is not a knock on anybody, but it was not healthy. I was started doing 20-hour days, nonstop, back to back to back to back to back. I took 50 hours worth of courses on being a recruiter. I started going into Clubhouse. Every single room of the recruiters were in, I made myself known. I figured out ways to make connections. I would take them over to LinkedIn. So now I built a network of recruiters. I built a network of coaches, resume writers, everything that I could do. Then Clubhouse opens clubs. Great. So now not only do I have the posts that I'm doing, now I create an entire virtual environment within the Clubhouse app where I can coach job seekers. And what was different was, instead of just being something to hand people jobs, I brought in all those specialists so that people had everything at their disposal. And the great thing about social media is it doesn't take very long to be considered an expert. If you're on the same thing 4 or 5 days in a row, you're going to be made a moderator. So if you don't know Clubhouse, moderator is just somebody that talks and only cares about what they say. But I wasn't that kind of moderator. So then I start getting asked to moderate. And in one of the first rooms I was in, where I was asking questions, and Anna doesn't even know this part of the story because I just remembered it like yesterday. There was a woman named Luna Martin, and she worked for a recruiting firm, and I didn't think anything of it, but the first time I was supposed to meet her, I completely was disorganized, missed the call. Thank God she was kind. We wound up meeting a second time. Now she says, "Hey, Dan, I really love what you're about. I want to help you." So she starts taking me under her wing, but also Anna and I had talked about me sourcing to gain experience. So then I start sourcing for her. Well, here's the thing. At this point, I had been saying, okay, I need to only be with FANG companies. Well, Luna and I have a connection that's
Some people
very,
may not know what FANG companies are.
sorry, FANG. FANG is Facebook, Apple, like all the big tech. Sorry, I forget that sometimes, including today. We had a connection that was like this in the way that we want to change recruitment to make it about the person and longevity and not just the resume. So I started sourcing for her a month ago, and we decided right off the bat, like almost like Anna and I had, this needs to continue long term. And at that point, we made the decision, and we didn't announce it until 2 days ago. But along this journey, what was really cool was that I started getting asked to talk about all these different things. So in addition to job seeking, I started talking more about neurodiversity. I don't even remember how I got into the women's empowerment aspect of it, but now I'm running a platform that is gaining over 500 responses per month to see me put on a panel about women's empowerment and gender and racial bias within the workplace and how to be a better male ally. And I'm about as humble as they come, except for me saying I'm about as humble as they come. But I understand that sometimes you don't choose your path. And for me, I didn't expect to be considered an upper echelon or an influencer or whatever. But as I've gained steam, I've seen people accept me for me. And for whatever reason, that's resonated with people. And now I'm doing speaking engagements like this 3 times a week. I have a web page being built. Within 2 days of joining Zuna Executive, I just closed a deal for BD. I freaking hate sales. Like, this was somebody that just said, I want to work with you. Like, this is mind blowing to me. But the best part of all of it is, now, and I've said this to Anna many times, I did not want to be considered a success until I had that tie-in where I could say, I finally did it. Well, now I could say I finally did it. And it only took me a year and a month. So I know that was long. There's so much more to it. But my entire process in talking about this is to give people hope. and to give people the confidence that you can make a difference and that there's some place out there for you. And that I think the biggest thing I could say, because people ask me this all the time, well, how do you get over the downs that come with the job search? And the thing is, give yourself some credit. It's okay to be down. It's admitting that we have those down periods. It's admitting that we have those problems, that we can feel defeated, we can feel depressed, and knowing that it's okay to take a day off. Those are the things that people need to hear, because that is what's going to get you to that next job and let you know that you are okay. With that, I want to go back to Heather. Thank you for listening.
Oh my gosh, Dan, I love your story. When I first met Dan, I'm like, I think it was like 5 minutes later, I'm like, hey, do you want to stick to the group? And then Dan introduced me to Anna. This is exactly what either people who are going to be watching this in replay as well need to hear right now. So what I'd like to do, if you guys are okay with it, because I know we've got some time constraints, can we open it up to some Q&A?
Bring it.
All right, awesome. So bring it on, ladies.
I really didn't intend for that to be that long, though. By the
know
way,
it was
sorry.
perfect. It was. Do not apologize for a word of it. It was perfect. What do we have? What questions do we have for both Anna and Dan?
I mean, and it can be basic LinkedIn 101. Go ahead, Lisa.
So how are we meant to discover our zone of genius?
I hate that term.
I
I hate that
in all
term.
different directions.
So, Anna, I'm going to go first. I don't often do this, but because I usually like to defer to you. I hate these fatty terms. I hate when people call themselves authentic. I hate the term imposter syndrome. I freaking hate zone of genius. But here's why, and I want to clarify. So what we're talking about in our zone of genius is we're talking about you finding your unique voice and your purpose. It's not a zone, it's your purpose. So everybody has a purpose in life. It took me 36 years. So I'm 36 years old. It took me 36 years to figure out that was recruiting. And it was only because I found that acceptance in who I was that I was able to discover that, right? So it's not about finding your zone of genius. It's about looking inside yourself and saying, why am I unique? Why do people love me? Why do people want to hear about me? And once you realize that, once you realize that you're not going to connect with everybody, but that one person that you do connect with is more than enough, that's all you need. And for most of you, for those that can say, I truly love my job, look, you've already found it. For those of you that are parents, you can say you found one of your zones of genius, because there's multiple. There's all these different ways. The authenticity thing, that's going to be a bad discussion, but let me just put it this way. I believe if you're either authentic or fake. So if you are authentic, you're simply being who you are. And that's something people should call you. It's not something we need to be calling ourselves. And as long as we have the internal knowledge that, hey, I'm being exactly who I am, screw everybody else. I have a potty mouth. I know there's a room full of girls. I'm sorry. Room full of women. I am sorry. That's my fault.
That's okay. You corrected yourself faster than I could correct you. So
yes,
you're good.
This is what happens when you have twin 20-month-olds running around. I'm so used to saying girls. That's all you need. Okay, I'm done with my diatribe. Go ahead, Anna.
Lisa, are
Dan,
you
at
a
my
job
age,
seeker
I'm
or
being
not?
fine called a girl.
Oh, you are?
At my age, you bet.
Better than guys. Are you an entrepreneur or a job seeker, Lisa? Remind me.
Both.
Oh.
I'm really trying to push the entrepreneur. I'm really tired of working for time.
I
It's
hear you.
wasting time and money. It's bullshit.
Okay, what are you job seeking? Let's start there and let's go to entrepreneurship. What kind of job are you looking for?
So my strengths are marketing. So
Okay.
content and also like integrated.
Okay, first job title that comes to mind that you want to do.
First that I want to do.
First job title that comes to mind that describes what you want to do.
The director of marketing.
Okay, perfect. Stop there. Here's why I say that. There's so many job seekers that come and they have this broad range, And as recruiters, it drives us nuts because the more specific that you could be within your search, the easier it is for us to articulate and figure out how to get you there. So that's why I put you on the spot and I asked you those two questions in succinct order, because just that piece of information can tell me 15 ways to get you to where you want to go. What do you want to do as an entrepreneur?
I want to help people not have to struggle so much with getting jobs. I'd like to actually help us reinvent the platform for job seekers.
Work for Anna.
No, Lisa, I'm looking at your profile, and with your copywriting and marketing strategy background, like there's a lot you can do there. You know, can I show you just a quick hack? I would love, your profile looks very nice, by the way. Do you know how to get rid of this gray box?
No, I don't even know what that gray box is.
Well, it's because you don't have a business page.
Ah,
So you can create a business page. I just typically Google LinkedIn business page and it'll take you right there. But like I have Anna Morgan and then I have Anna Morgan Career BFF.
Oh, you know what I just learned? If you click on the 9 dots, Anna, so click above on the, click that, scroll all the way down, create company page.
Oh, it's right there.
Yeah, I just learned that last night.
So once you create the business page, this is where you can grow your following, and then you can upload your logo for your business. And then when you add your experience, the logo from the business page will pull over because your business, this is kind of like if you didn't have the funds to create a sales page or a web page or a website, like your linked, if you think most of your clients are going to come from LinkedIn, you can work to produce content here, get followers, you know, do this between your personal account and your business account.
great. Good timing. I just filed my FBN too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
So that way then and a lot of times when people have other gray boxes on their profile, it simply means that they probably either that organization doesn't have a business page, or oftentimes they've like mistyped it or typed it too fast and weren't able to grab the actual logo that went with that business. Does that help?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Emily, did you have any other questions? I thought you said something.
No, I've taken down some notes for LinkedIn, as you probably saw when you were on mine. I haven't spent much time on it. Created it, and that was kind of it. So I really do need to go in there and do more on it.
Emily, are you an entrepreneur or a seeker?
Alicia and I both have a medical meeting planning company. So
Got it. Okay.
Yeah. And currently looking to try to find more business. So not a job seeker.
Okay, I didn't think so, but I have no excuse. So a couple things with the business. There's a lot of great methodology behind how to gain more business. One thing that I want to make very prolific statement to everybody is that, and this is something I didn't necessarily understand, is that when you're talking to people, it's always sales. It's just social sales. So sales is not a difficult thing when you put in perspective of social sales. Now, within the medical space, first of all, I could connect you to a ton of people, no problem. That's what I do. Coming from healthcare in the medical space, Anna, Claire would be a good connection.
Yeah, I was thinking that too. Yeah. But Emily, the cool thing about LinkedIn for your type of business, and if you look at my profile or Judy Fox's profile, it is built like a sales funnel. So it talks about, where I was, it tells you about my journey, it establishes credibility. And then I tell you what my clients say about me. And then I talk about my program, and it's for you if you're, if these are your pain points or your situations. And then it's all to book a call with me. And so I would say more than 80% of my clients come in cold through LinkedIn, and the other 20% are from referrals. So, you know, there is a, you know, for a premium account or just even a basic account on LinkedIn, with a little bit of, you know, resiliency and muscle and engaging and building those relationships, you can really funnel in your ideal client. If you structure your profile, so you have to have a clear banner, an optimized headline, a kick-ass about section that really gets us excited to contact you, and then everything completed, and some really good recommendations always help as well.
So let's give her a really, really good way to get a funnel. Emily, quick question for you. What is your target demographic for pulling in sales? Like, what's the type of person that would be attracted to your business?
Probably a product, well, one of two. Either we do the preclinical and do CROs and before they launch, or after launch, we do, you know, speaker trainings, advisory boards, you know, satellite symposia, that kind of thing. So truly, and we're not going to be both. Alicia and I came from a company that worked big pharma. I had BMS, I had Pfizer as my client.
Oh, yeah, I have friends there.
Yeah. So they're not going to use a company like us because we're smaller. So we really go more for small biotech, more niche companies, smaller companies before they get gobbled up. Cubist was my main client before they got bought by Merck for like 15 years. So smaller biotech probably in pharma.
I have to think about it, but there should be a way, and I'm not a big fan of this except from these purposes. There should be a way to utilize polls to identify potential clients for you. So I'll give you an example. I had a friend that was in a room and he does virtual piano training, but he was not getting any clients. And what?
I need that.
Yeah. So what happened was he had this big network, but he didn't know how to identify who his target market is. So I'm talking to him. I said, look, create a poll, ask people what instrument they prefer. So he put, you know, guitar, saxophone, piano, drums, and he got 15,000 votes. Of that 15,000 votes, something like 1,200 were piano. So because this is now his target, he has a warm lead to 1,200 new people because they've already identified as being interested in the product that he is selling. So then you take those and you slowly, because LinkedIn is now only allowing you to make 100 connection requests per week or per month, whatever it is. Now you slowly build that up. You send messages. Hey, you know, I just want to let you know that, you know, I love A, B, C, D, and E. I'd really like to connect with you. And you start there, leave it at that. Don't touch it. But then start commenting on those people's posts. And I understand that I'm talking about 1,200 here. So just use it as a baseline. Right. But then slowly build those relationships. And by doing that slow build, you're going to gain more consistency and more trust. And then those people you could pitch down the line. But because of how you're building it, it's not even going to come across as a pitch. It's going to come across as a friend talking to a friend about an opportunity.
No, that's great.
Yeah,
and
I love
I like
that.
Comment too about commenting on, because I do comment. I'm not huge. I'm not on stuff every day. Heather knows I'm I'm stepping away from Facebook and Instagram and all that, but LinkedIn I definitely use more, and I'm on the NPIMD advisory board, so I tend to post for that, but I'm not a real blogger, if you will. I come from a science background, so I don't feel like I have the marketing savvy that someone like Lisa would. But thank you for these comments. These are very good suggestions.
They're really good.
Yeah. And absolutely, like I try, if people engage on my post, even if it's just a social like or a comment, I will then go to their profile, look at their activity and their post and give to them as like a thank you. Sorry, my 4 dogs. I rescue 4 dogs.
Nice.
So just that's a really good practice to get into. So, you know, if you do make a post and people engage, go give to them on their content and look at where they're commenting as well. So that will help kind of expand that network. So it's a great.
Thank you.
Lots of potential. It was so nice to meet all of you ladies, and Dan,
So
thanks for jumping on.
We have one last question. Lisa asked, what are 3 things we could do in the Phoenix succinctly to help lift each other up on LinkedIn? So, okay. This is There's a bunch of things. The reason you're seeing this
We're
reaction is,
overtime, Dan, so you gotta get it out.
well, I don't want to get into the pod conversation because like
Yeah.
my first thought when,
I would just say
Yeah.
support each other's content,
Yeah.
you know, and tag each other in post, you know, have a conversation with someone, say, hey, I'm going to start getting more active on LinkedIn. Is it okay if I tag you in some conversations or tag you in some of my posts to get the conversation going? I'm sure you guys have you folks have a very, you know, supportive community that everyone would be like, heck yeah, I'll jump in there. And I'm giving you the permission slip that you can tag me into conversations. Not always guarantee that I'll see it, but I will do my best to engage as your hashtag career BFF. So don't be afraid to bring me into conversations.
yeah, I get 150 messages per day, but if you send me a note saying, yeah, I know, Anna, saying that we met here and I'll most likely recognize your name, I'm more than happy to provide any additional assistance as time allows. Things are getting a little bit busy now with the new job, but I'm always here for my friends.
Is anyone here on Clubhouse?
On what?
On Clubhouse. It's
Oh.
an audio only
Yeah.
platform.
Yep. Yep. I think we're all on it. Debbie's been helping us because she's got more experience, like you said, just even a week or two ahead of us, right? But she's been phenomenal at guiding us.
Awesome. So I just put a link into an event. I host the Job Search Angels, which is myself and a handful of other coaches. And we have guest angels and guest Charlies that join us to talk about job seeker and career changer topics. Tonight, we're having Simon Lau, who is the VP of Product Development. And it's going to be a super awesome conversation. So if you want to learn more about his product and how it can help you as an entrepreneur or a job seeker, please join us.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Anna. Thank you, Dan. I love your stories. Great tips. These guys are gonna, these ladies.
It's so hard.
I don't feel so bad now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Too. I like pinch myself every time I say it. I started to like cure myself a little bit of it as I started hosting Clubhouse rooms, because every room was like, guys. Like, I have to stop saying that.
But yeah, so I'm sure that we could talk to you both all day long. Great information, but the Phoenix fans are used to me ending right on time, so they plan things for right after. Thank
Absolutely.
you. Everybody mentioned in the Facebook group what a great program they did, so they're watching the replay. Okay.
Thank you.
Awesome.
It was so
Thank
nice to meet
you.
everyone.
Bye,
Heather,
everyone.
thanks for having us. And
Bye, Debbie.
Best wishes.
Hi, Dan. Thank you.
Dan, I'll
Thank
see you
you.
soon.
Thanks for having
Bye-bye.
me.